among the founders were Bobby Seale, who is its president, and Huey Newton, after Eldridge Cleaver, probably its best-known champion. In recent months, of course, the Newton wing expelled Eldridge Cleaver, who is living in Algeria, so that the Seale-Newton wing is nowadays supreme. Meanwhile, the Black Panthers have turned their backs officially on violence as a means of accomplishing whatever it is they propose to accomplish, concerning which we will in due course be enlightened. Huey Newton, you will remember, was tried and convicted of killing a policeman, specifically of involuntary manslaughter. The slogan, Free Huey Newton, was to the late 60s what the slogan, Who Promoted Perez, was to the early 50s. The higher court reversed the verdict on a technicality, and Mr. Newton was tried twice more, the trial resulting in each case in a split jury. Finally, the presiding judge gave up, and Huey Newton is free. His mother is from Louisiana, his father from Arkansas, and he is the youngest of 7 children. He was schooled in Oakland, where he now lives. His first book was called To Die for the People, and imminently he will publish his autobiography, which is called Revolutionary Suicide, a concept I shall now ask Mr. Newton please to explain.
Huey Percy Newton, born February 17, 1942, was an African-American political activist and revolutionary who, along with Bobby Seale, co-founded the Black Panther Party in 1966. He continued to pursue an education, eventually earning a Ph.D. in social philosophy. This is the story of Huey P. Newton.
Dr. Huey Percy Newton was an African-American political activist out there, revolutionary, who, along with fellow Merritt College student Bobby Seale, co-founded the Black Panther Party. Huey Newton was born February 17, 1942, Monroe, Louisiana. Died August 22, 1989, Lower Bottoms, Oakland, California. And basically was, like I said, co-founder of the Black Panther Party. So what was the Black Panther Party? The Black Panther Party was these two men, Bobby Seale and Huey Newton. They graduated high school and they just started recognizing how serious the mistreatment of the government and the police officers were to the black people of Oakland. That's what they could see. They were right there. And so what they decided to do was they wanted to create a political party that could have some power to be able to affect some changes for these things. And so once they established that, they realized that there were many, many, many other problems going on. There was hunger going on. There was starvation. There was no clothes. People homeless. Illiteracy. Matter of fact, Huey Newton himself was illiterate when he finished high school. He had to teach himself to read and teach himself all this other stuff. But anyway, he ended up becoming an avid reader. But they saw these problems. One of the problems that they saw was that the young children that were going to school, they noticed that the black children always had problems in the schools. And so they were trying to figure out what the problem was. They figured it out that most of the black children didn't eat breakfast before they got to school. So they would go to school hungry. So because they were hungry, they couldn't concentrate on what the lessons that were being taught to them. So they came up with the free breakfast program. Then they noticed in the curriculum at school, they weren't getting taught about their own history. They were just getting taught about American history or the white part of American history. They weren't getting taught a full understanding of the history. So they put together schools to teach young black children. So they had the free breakfast program. They had the free clothing program for people trying to reenter society from either coming from prison or rehab or whatever, homelessness or whatever. They had the clothing program where they would try to get clothes. And they had the food program where they were feeding people mean, they had a lot of different programs. They were asking people to help them, and the people were helping them. They even had some white people helping them. One of the most notably known is Jane Fonda, was a big supporter of the Panthers. But like any organization that's starting to make some serious change, the Panthers became targeted by the Alphabet Boys, the federal Alphabet Boys, the FBI, CIA, DEA, IRS. They started getting targeted by the FBI, the Alphabet Boys. And once you get started, once you're on the radar of the Alphabet Boys, it's really difficult to get stuff accomplished. And matter of fact, they can set you up for a lot of death and destruction, which is what they did to the Panthers. Many of the Panthers were killed. Fred Hampton, many others were just executed, all with the approval of the federal government. And unfortunately, that stopped a lot of these groups from actually reaching their maturity and getting some things done. Huey Newton, like I said, was on a different playing field mentally. He was just a different kind of guy. He very avid reader and very an intellectualizer, I should say. Like to discuss many types of theories, and just really wanted everything to be equal. But of course, he would say, well, hey, if everything's going to be equal, we need to start with the black people who are here, meaning the descendants of the slave trade here in America. And of course, that was not at that time. The government thought that they wanted to do a revolution, a physical revolution, but what they were trying to do was a revolution in thought of black people, so that we could think for ourselves and figure out a way to change this situation for ourselves. Not so much with the armed struggle, but with a educated struggle. But if it came to arms, ready. You know what I mean? But that's not what they had intended. That was not the initial intent. Huey Newton, like I said, when he graduated high school, he was illiterate, or graduated or left high school. He was illiterate, meaning not illiterate, but couldn't read, and at the level he should have been. And but he ended up getting his bachelor's degree, master's degree, and then of course eventually his doctorate degree. And so definitely was a very intelligent young man, very steadfast young man. And I never say he was perfect. None of us are. We all have faults. And so, but without this man, we probably wouldn't have had the Black Panthers in the form that they were in, and have been as effective as they were. And brought to light a lot of the issues that the average black person was dealing with without their help. So hats off to Mr. Newton, and we thank you for your struggle and sacrifice. We know that Huey Newton, of course, was shot at many times, but actually hit in the stomach by police at least once. And then, of course, he was convicted of, like said on an earlier clip, he was convicted of killing a police officer, but it was overturned on technicality, and they tried to try him 2 more times, and it just kept ending in a hung jury. So the prosecutor just walked away from it. And because what happened was Huey was bringing so much light to things. It's kind of like, it was hard to deny anymore. Like at first, white people that didn't know any better were thinking like the police were being right. What they were doing was right. It was justified what they were doing. Once they saw the mistreatment, and it was out there, and you had groups like the Black Panthers or the Nation of Islam or any of those type of groups, NAACP or whatever group that's out there, just trying to put a light on this so it can stop. After a while, it just gets too much. It's too much evidence to deny, and that's what we have to thank Huey for, because he put so much evidence out there. It was just so difficult to deny, and he was so eloquent in the way he spoke that it was just. So if there's a good book to read called The Autobiography of Huey Newton. That is a good book. I ought to read it. I'm not going to give it all away, but very good book. Goes really deep into this man's psyche and the way the man thought, and that is a very good book. So hats off to Huey Newton. We thank him for his sacrifice, because he sacrificed his life, and also a lot of other people had to sacrifice their lives because they believed in what he was trying to do, or what he was spearheading to be done. Unfortunately, Huey died too soon. Dr. Newton died too soon, because the government, what they do is, if they can't buy you, they try to get you hooked on drugs. If they can't get you hooked on drugs and buy you, then they threaten you. If they can't threaten you, then the last step is execution, or they just start a war on you. And that's what they did to the Black Panthers, ultimately killing many of the Black Panthers in gunplay, that with bullets going all one way. You know what I mean? Like Fred Hampton, just bullets go every bullet fired going one way. But they're saying, hey, we were under fire, but there's no bullets going your way. Yeah, it's just bullets going that way. But anyway, that's the kind of thing they were able to do back in the day, before, like I said, Huey Newton, with those guys in the Black Panther Party, which was actually, like I said, a political party. They wanted black people to be able to control their circumstances in their neighborhood. So they came up with a party to be able to do that. And so anyway, they just happened to get use some guns if they had to. If it came to that, they were willing to protect the mission with the use of firearms. So if you're looking for more information about Huey Newton, you can definitely, of course you can Google him, but my suggestion is to read his autobiography. I don't want to just sit here and read off his, what they have on Google. You need to go and actually read his autobiography, find out more about the man and what the man was trying to offer us, so that we could be better people. It was always made out to be like the Black Panther Party was. It was always made out to be like the Black Panther Party was. Their first instinct was violence, but it's actually the reverse. They didn't want violence. They wanted to work with everybody, but they were opposed to nonviolence in regards to letting people beat them and sick dogs on them and shoot them, and they were just opposed to that philosophy of Martin Luther King's philosophy. And like we all have our own opinion, so they did it their way. Dr. King did it his way, and but if you want more information about Huey Newton, who was a brilliant, masterful orator, and just was a smart guy, but a very intelligent guy. Even though he graduated high school or left high school without being able to read, he taught himself how to read, eventually earning himself a doctorate degree. So, man, the guy's life has so many twists and turns. But anyway, unfortunately, he passed in 1989. They say from trying to buy some crack cocaine. Who knows? Except for Huey and the person that killed him. So, anyway, that that teaches us all a lesson about drugs. Anyway, this is my little thing about Huey Newton, but don't take my word for it. Go look it up yourself. Peace.